Women who survived the mass rape of hundreds of women by rebels in eastern Congo last month have begun describing the horror of their experience. The atrocity happened around the village of Luvungi near Walikale. At the same time, this programme has gained access to Congolese soldiers who've gone through a pioneering reform scheme in the town of Bukavu. Once rapists themselves, they now recognise their crimes. Viewers may find this report by our international editor, Lindsay Hilson, very distressing.
The survivors of mass rape around the village of Luvungi last month speak of an ordeal so dreadful it's hard to listen to their stories. More than 280 women were gang raped by militiamen in the forests of eastern Congo.
They came with torches when they entered the house, and they beat us using those torches. They would beat us for a long time. After they raped us, they would walk out and we would do our best to escape into the bush. Sometimes we would have to crawl on the ground while they would rape others until dawn. They would also sometimes follow us into the forest or wherever we are hiding at night. And if we were found, they would then rape us again. And that's how they managed to rape all the women of Luvungi.
Nearby UN peacekeepers failed to protect the women. Their bosses in New York say they'll do better next time. But what about the rapists? Sexual violence is endemic. Under the international gaze, Congolese soldiers are on their best behaviour, but all sides rape in this brutal conflict. Now a few Congolese soldiers in a retraining programme have been pushed into reflecting on their actions.
When I saw a woman, it was like seeing food, because of spending so many days without any sex. I often asked women to let me have sex with them, which sometimes they did, against their will, for fear of their lives. I could call that rape.
We did all sorts of things to women just because we felt we were in a position of power and there weren't going to be any consequences. We took advantage of their vulnerability, knowing they couldn't defend themselves. We were using our power to abuse women physically and sexually.
I agree that forcing women to do things against their will is wrong. However, the isolation of life in the war in the forest that we're living is partly to blame for our behaviour towards women. It meant we had no mercy.
The soldiers who aren't participating in the rape would stand and cheer, enjoying witnessing such an act. This normally encouraged more and more soldiers to rape women. Sometimes it starts with one soldier raping a woman, and then it ends up with a gang rape. And that's why I say it's like evil spirits are making us treat women in this way. I now believe that this training will prevent these things from ever happening again.
Rape victims near the town of Bukavu learn hygiene and childcare and receive trauma therapy, as will the victims of the most recent atrocities. There are many projects to help them earn a living by, for example, making roof tiles. But nothing will really change in the Democratic Republic of Congo until there are more projects to make men change their attitude. For women like Solange, bringing up a child of rape, it's been a long nightmare. She's been raped 4 times in the last 9 years of conflict.
I believe the war is the cause of all this. I started school at 6 and got married at 17, and for all those years I never heard of anybody who got raped or killed by a Congolese soldier. We only started getting rape cases in 1994, when Rwandan forces and militia came over the border. I've always advised and encouraged others who have been raped. I often tell them to be resilient, because even if they went through the ordeal of rape, they should still be grateful to be alive.
She's called her child Esperanza, meaning hope, something she tells other women who've been raped, that they should still somehow try to feel.
Lindsay Hilson, just a couple of things in brief. The government